You think space is empty. You're wrong. Space is different kinds of empty, and one of them is so empty, so impossibly, wrongly, disturbingly empty, that scientists still can't fully explain it. And it's big enough to swallow everything you've ever known, every star, every planet, every galaxy you've ever seen in a photograph. All of it gone, replaced by nothing. It's called the Boötes Void, and it shouldn't exist. Let's talk about the different kinds of nothing. First, interplanetary space, the gap between planets inside a solar system. Feels empty, but it's not. The sun is screaming charged particles in every direction. You're still inside something's reach. Go further, past the last planet, past the sun's protective bubble. Now you're in interstellar space, the ocean between stars. The Milky Way owns this darkness, a supermassive black hole. 4 million times the mass of our sun sits at the center, quietly running everything. But go further still, past the Milky Way, past our neighbors, past everything familiar. Now you're in intergalactic space. This isn't emptiness with something controlling it. This is just absence, pure, uninterrupted absence. And it makes up nearly 90% of the observable universe. Let that sit. 90%. The universe, this grand, violent, spectacular thing, is mostly just gap. But even within that emptiness, there's a place that broke scientists when they found it. Astronomers are mapping the sky, routine work. And then something wrong. A region of space, 330 million light years across. In a space that size, physics says you should find thousands of galaxies, thousands of entire island universes, each containing hundreds of billions of stars. They found 60. 60. Here's how empty that actually is. Forget the numbers for a second. If our Milky Way was sitting in the middle of this void right now, we would not have discovered other galaxies existed until the 1960s. They would have been too far away, too faint, too gone. Every human who ever lived before 1960 would have looked up and seen only our galaxy and assumed, logically, reasonably, that this was everything, that we were alone in the entire universe. The void would have hidden the universe from us. That's how empty it is. So why does this exist? Why would the universe just leave a hole this big? To understand it, you have to go back, way back. Not to the beginning of Earth, not to the beginning of the sun, to 10 to the power of negative 32 seconds after the Big Bang. A number so small it doesn't fit in your brain. At that moment, the entire observable universe, every galaxy, every star, every atom that makes up everything you've ever touched, was smaller than a single atom. And at that scale, something strange happens. Space itself becomes glitchy. Quantum physics, the rules that govern the very small, says that at tiny scales, energy doesn't sit still, it flickers. It appears, it disappears randomly, constantly, for no reason. Normally this doesn't matter. The flickering is too small, too brief. But when the entire universe is that small, the glitch becomes the universe. Those random energy flickers, quantum fluctuations, created tiny differences in density. Some regions just slightly denser, some just slightly emptier. Not by much. We're talking differences so small they make a decimal point look dramatic. But the universe had 13.8 billion years to work with those differences. For 380,000 years after the Big Bang, the universe was a blinding plasma, so hot that light couldn't even travel in a straight line. Photons just bouncing everywhere, trapped, like trying to see through a wall of fire. Then it cooled, electrons and protons finally joined, atoms formed for the first time, and light, ancient, exhausted light, it was suddenly free. That light still exists right now, coming from every direction. The oldest thing you can detect with any instrument on Earth. We call it the cosmic microwave background, and when we look at it and when we take its temperature across the entire sky, We see something, tiny hot spots, tiny cold spots, the fingerprints of those original quantum glitches, the random flickers from the first fraction of a second, preserved in light, still visible. 13.8 billion years later, the slightly denser regions pulled matter together. Gravity did its slow, patient work. Over billions of years, they became galaxies, clusters, superclusters. The slightly emptier regions, they became voids. And as the universe expanded, the voids stretched, grew, became more empty. The Boötes Void isn't an accident, it isn't a mystery without an answer. It is a quantum fluctuation from the first fraction of a second of existence, stretched across 330 million light-years of space, made visible. A random glitch in the fabric of space from before time meant anything, grew for 13.8 billion years into a bubble of nothing big enough to erase the observable universe from our view. The universe looks like a sponge, filaments of galaxies, walls of light, and between them, voids, darkness, absence. But here's the thing nobody talks about. That sponge structure, the galaxies, the clusters, the superclusters, the voids, it all came from randomness, pure, meaningless quantum randomness in the first fraction of a second of existence. The largest structures in the observable universe are the echoes of the smallest possible fluctuations. You live in a universe shaped by a glitch. And that glitch is 330 million light-years wide and still growing.